Black skin, black sauce, black Jesus, black music, black skin, black sauce, black Jesus, black music.
It's probably gonna be forward, but are you passing it out to white people?
I have not yet, but if they are open to come, that would be cool. I'm close-minded to those who want to attend.
What's the meaning of your headdress?
The meaning of my headdress, I do believe that I have natives in my family. I do believe that some of our people are here in this American lands, and we're native for these lands. So that is why I have this on.
So what? First of all, do you know what tribe they might be from?
For no, I don't call these the Marvin's family, and that's where people kind of go into that term where family you come from, and that's where some places where people say where we come from, but that's not where their family come from. So it's like we don't even know where our family come from, but we know where our ancestors come from, and that's where sometimes it's this disconnect where we try to find ourselves, and sometimes called lost people because we don't know always where we exactly come from.
That's facts. We are called lost people because we don't know where we come from. Do you believe in the Bible?
I have a Christian background. My mother's a minister.
Do you know the Bible says that about the lost people? That they would lose their heritage?
Jeremiah 17:4.
I don't know that part, no.
Let's go ahead and read that.
I don't know.
So look, while he's getting that, I'm actually native, right? My dad's Comanche.
Okay.
My mom's Haitian.
Okay.
But she's got some Dominican in her too, right? So, I'm a native. The reason I asked was, you know the reason why natives are on reservations right now. Have you ever, like, YouTube what a reservation looks like, what the conditions look like or anything? Have you ever been somewhere?
No, I haven't.
You know they're in a really bad situation. People might think that they're living great because they're Indians on a reservation.
Right.
But that's not true. They're drunks and they live in trailers. You know what I'm saying? Black people, most of us don't even live in trailers.
Right, absolutely. Right.
All of them live in trailers though. You know what I'm saying? So, or shacks or huts or whatever they built, you know what I'm saying, on the reservation. So, it's basically concentration. They get limited money, limited funding, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. They don't pay taxes, but that's because they don't make no money. The government wants taxes for people that make money, right? So, who do pay taxes is casinos, most of them. Whether they tell you on Google they do or not.
False prophets. False prophets.
Come deal with us.
Come talk to us.
Come talk to us.
Well, you're supposed to prove all things. You can't talk and then walk away.
I'm gonna say something too.
That's how it goes. But so, what our people do, right? The reason they're over here is because there were natives that, you know, did what you did. We don't know who they are. Don't know what they do. But if some of them want to come, you know, I'll invite them to come too. You heard Dylan Roof?
Ever heard of Dylan Roof?
He's the white boy that shot up the black church a couple years ago.
Okay.
You know why he was in the church? Because they did the same thing you did. If they want to come, you know, hey, and then he pops up. And they let him sit in church. Oh, well, hey, this never happened.
Right.
Let's let him sit down. If he wants to come in, let's let him come in.
Right.
Not the day. Right? So, yeah. The reason people like that will call us false prophets is because the Bible, right, says that. So, well, let's read this first. We'll get that in a second.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17 and verse 4. And it reads, "And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not."
So look, do you know what happened to Indians, blacks, Hispanics, as far as slavery?
What they have told us.
So what do you know about that? Explain.
I've done research of what they told me as being younger, but as I go on, I do these people like Callaway, and people that sort that say the different dynamic of where these people are coming from.
So you believe that there wasn't a slave trade and that you know, our people were just here forever and the white folks just popped up?
I just will have a better. I'm getting into understanding of
because that's what Dan Calloway teaches.
That's what he does teach.
You know what I think about Dan Calloway? I think he's a fat idiot that's making a lot of money off people that don't know anything. Right? People that are looking for something, they're novice, right? And he's basically taking advantage of them. He knows that a lot of black people know that they have Indian in their blood, right? So he's taking advantage of that knowledge by making a YouTube channel and just lying about stuff.
Right.
You can prove slave ships.
Right.
He can't disprove it, no matter how many YouTube videos he makes, right?
Right.
He's tried to, but you can't do it. There's
Right.
actual proof, right? There's people in Africa, right?
Uh-huh.
He's never been to Africa because he thinks he's not from there, right?
Right.
You can go to Africa and talk to people in West Africa that will tell you our people are your people, and half of us was cut off and y'all was shipped over there, right? The rest of us assimilated basically, and we got the stick. You know what I'm saying? That's how it works. There's books you can read. The Tariq al-Fattash talks about how the Dutchmen and Germans, Englishmen, right? They came in the 1400s and 1500s to Africa to enslave people under the Sikh Muhammad's empire, right? And the Sikh Muhammad was only sending them people that didn't convert to Islam. If they did convert to Islam or secretly said they were but didn't do, you know what I'm saying? They would get the stick. Everybody who just straight up denounced it, they got shipped out. And those were the first slaves. And guess where they were taken? They were taken to Europe first, then they were taken to America. So,
The Memoirs of Christopher Columbus
yeah.
also
Those
talks
are
about
explaining-
these too.
Right.
It's a lot of different
There's a
books.
lot of different books. You know what I'm saying?
Christopher Columbus taking the Hebrew speaking
Christopher Columbus even took Hebrew speaking interpreters. You know why? Dan Calloway never told you that the language that the people spoke over here was Hebrew.
We have stones to prove it.
Who else speaks Hebrew? Let the Bible tell you, right? So
We have artifacts, found artifacts that we can prove it.
right.
I appreciate the knowledge. I always live with this perspective.
Let me ask you though, what exactly drew you to Dan Calloway? Because I always wanted to ask somebody about that.
Somebody was listening to him, but
And then have you ever researched anything he said?
Yes, I did.
Or do you just watch his videos? Because if you research half the stuff he says, you'd find out none of it was true.
Can I give you one thing? Can I give you one thing about Dan Calloway? I've been watching Dan Calloway for years, right? Probably about 6 or more years ago, right? You know how he says that there were where are the slave ships? He's always bringing up where are the slave ships, right?
There's museums that have the slave ships,
Right.
and have records of the slave ships.
But what
you
he
can
did-
Google the names of the people who made the slave ships.
Nah.
You can Google pictures of people that insured the
They got
slave ships.
lists. They got this manifest. Yeah.
The whole manifest. You can Google the names of the people that got off the slave ships.
Right.
All type of different things. It's a whole database.
Yep.
But go ahead.
Now, the thing about it is that what Dane doesn't say, and maybe he knows and doesn't want to bring out, maybe he just doesn't know. Most of these ships that were brought over were not called slave ships. They weren't documented as slave ships. They were cargo ships. So you won't find, most of these manifests are not going to say slave. So when Dane says, well, we can't find anything that says slave ship, you're not going to find it. And so that's actually throwing a curveball of information to our people that they don't even understand. They're thinking we're looking for slave ship, when in actuality, you won't hardly find anything that says slave. It'll say cargo, because that's what we were. We were cargo. So I just want to kind of put that in your ear, because I've watched Dane for a long time. And that issue of us not coming over on slave ships, that's true. We didn't come over on slave ships. We came over on cargo ships. Just want to give that to you.
I appreciate it.
Are you gonna go research it too, or you just gonna? Because you look like you don't give a dang about it.
I research on everything. I'm an open-minded person, so people tell me information, I take it for what it is, and I do it all research.
Well, go look up the fact that Hispanics and natives had a stone called the Los Lunas stone, right?
The Back Creek Stone.
The Back Creek stone, the Chief Joseph stone, all these stones that basically prove they were from Assyrian captivity and they came over here. They were never over here the whole time. When you read the Lost Tribes in Promised Lands, Montezuma, who would be a native, right? He actually told Cortez, the Spanish, the famous Spaniard conquistador, right? There's actual writing, right? A memoir, an actual quote you can read and you can look up, and it's in a book, and it's in Cortez's letters as well. Montezuma actually told him that they come from the east, they're not from here, like Dan Calloway said, right? Dan Calloway said they're from there, so that's already a lie, right? You gotta X him out the book. You don't know what you're talking about at this point. Because he's trying to say he's a native and doesn't even know that natives don't even say that they're not from here.
Anybody know what you're talking about?
He's from, Italy. He's not Native American. So those are the things we're asking. African American, Africa is over there and America's over there. And there's a big body of water between them. And nobody's mom is big enough to have a baby with a leg on both of them, right? So why do we call ourselves African American? The other term they give us is the color out the crayon box, black and brown, right? There's no land we can hop on a plane to go to black and brown. I can't catch a flight of Delta to Africa, America, right? So that's what we're teaching, basically, what the truth is, because we've done the research, we have the proof in your books and all that type of stuff that we can bring out, you know what I'm saying? If you're willing to hear a couple minutes of it.
What's your
If
nationality?
not, it's all good.
Okay, so you like talking like Yahweh or like
So look, Yahweh, even that is not really what it is. Yahweh is a rendition that they gave us. The real name from the Bible in Hebrew would be Yahweh, right? The man Jesus would be a white guy, pasty skinny white dude with blonde hair, blue eyes. He was a black guy in the Bible, right? In addition, and his name would have been Yahweh Shah, not Leonard James would have been the 1520s. King James, then he would have been King James. He was black too. So I got pictures of him. I can show you him and his whole family from the Cambridge University Museum in England. You know what I'm saying? On Google, it'll be hard for you to find it because you got to break the algorithm. But when you break the algorithm, Google gonna lie to you. They'll show you the pictures from England. You know what I'm saying? So there's different things like that. But as far as us talking about Yahweh, he will be the God of the Israelites, right? So-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans before slavery. That's what we would have been, right? Proof of that. Can you give me Acts 13 and 1 right there? Just so I can show this. Huh?
Did you give her a nationality?
Oh, what is your nationality, if you don't mind me asking?
That's your father?
my father is Nigerian citizen.
What tribe?
Judah!
Technically, you wouldn't be Puerto Rican. Because, alright, so they have this thing called mixed and stuff like that now, right? But back in the day, we used to consider ourselves based off the seed of the father, right? That has to do with how you look, right? Very important. But as far as like nationality or ethnicity, it would be considered based off your father. So technically, you would be a Nigerian. Nigerian, Igbo actually means Hebrew, right? If you go and look at it and ask any of the elders over there, they will tell you that Igbo or Ibar, which is what it originally was, right? It was Hebrew, right? That's the language they originally spoke and all that type of stuff. And a lot of them over there, they're still Jewish now, because the Jewish people have gone over there and tried to teach them basically how to keep their laws, right? Told them that they'll accept them into the community if they do it the way that they do it, and that's why they do it like that now. We're trying to get them to come back to the way they used to do it, which is what they're in the process of switching over now, which is why people like Kanye and Kyrie got into it. Because there are also people that are waking up, trying to wake up, right? You hear about what happened with Kanye and Kyrie? So, did you hear that Kanye was a billionaire and then he lost his billions?
Yeah.
So, but you didn't know why. So the reason why was because he actually came out on a news interview and told the guy in the news interview that black people are Israelites, right? And the guy went, what? And Kanye said, yeah, the way we're being treated, we're Jews too. And just because he said that, he got in trouble. And they were asking him to take it back. When he didn't take it back, he went on and did different interviews and said more stuff about us being Israelites. Went on the Breakfast Club, Drink Champs, right? Got Nori and them in trouble. Nori and them deleted the interview and all type of different stuff, right? Because he was basically trying to put the truth out there. That's what we are. He got in trouble for it. He lost all his endorsements. Right? People that run the music industry, the Nike owners, Adidas owners, bank. And then Kyrie, same situation. Kyrie came out and he just reposted a video from a brother that we know named Ron Dalton, who did a documentary proving that we were Israelites and that Jewish people-ish are not, right? If I call you childish, am I calling you a child? I'm saying you act like one, right? So a Jewish person acts like a Jew, they're not a Jew, right? English people act like the English. The original English are black. That's why King James is a brother, right? Scottish people, they're ish. Scott means black. That's black basically the situation that we was in over there, right? They moved us out. There's different kickouts that they had. The Council of Verona, the expulsion of the Jews was probably the biggest one. That was a 200-year thing.
What was it? We were just talking about the book in Spain, the Moors and Jews in Spain and Portugal.
Yeah, that's right.
They had witch trials, and they had what was the Spanish Inquisition? If you ever heard of that?
Like I'm sure you've heard of Moors before, right? So the Moors was byword. Can you give me Deuteronomy 28:37? So the reason we keep coming from the Bible, right? There's curses in the Bible that basically explain that Black, Hispanic, Native American people are the Israelites who lose who we are, right? We would discontinue from our heritage. But in our final captivity in the land that we were taken captive, we would remember ourselves, right? That's two different scriptures. That's Jeremiah 17 and 4 and Baruch 2 and 30. And consequently, they were with each other when they were writing the scripture. So Baruch was the scribe for Jeremiah. He was actually the writer.
Go ahead. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment and a proverb and a byword among all nations whither the Lord shall lead you.
So it says we're in astonishment, right? Any city you go into, and even in Puerto Rico, right? In Nigeria, anywhere, right? The Israelites, whether they know it or not, whether they're called Black people, Hispanics, Native Americans, Nigerians, you know what I'm saying? Yoruba, whatever, right? We're people that are always the astonishment. We're the people that run the music industry, or at least we're the biggest artists that they have in the land over there or over here. We're the ones that are the face of all the different corporations that they want out there that need to be hit, need to be urban-like, right? Anything like that. TV shows, right? So they give us a certain amount of power and stuff. That's astonishing, right? Also, the conditions that we're in. The fact that we have that much power and none of us are helping our people, right? When Jewish people get power, they band together and they get housing for each other. When Asian people get power, they all get a dang Chinese store, right? When the Indian people get power, they all get a gas station. I know Indian dudes that used to own the Chevron. He left the country and went back to India because he told me he made his millions and he was about to give it to his cousin. Now his cousin owns it and turned it into a Circle K, right? So they keep circulating it within the community. Our people, we make money and we keep it. We move out the hood and never build the hood back up, right?
So we make money and we spend that money with other nations.
Or that. That's right. Which is why when brothers do come to the hood, they get killed for it, right? So it's like you left the city. You know what I'm saying? So that's the difference between us and them, and those are actually curses, right? As far as the bywords, the reason you're a Puerto Rican, you know what Puerto Rican means?
I don't know what Puerto Rican means, but I know what Puerto Rican means. Like the original.
Okay.
But yeah.
That's good.
So.
That's good. But the reason they call y'all Puerto Rican instead of Borican, and they don't want you to know what Borican is and stuff, is because a Puerto Rican is Port of Riches, and that's what they called you guys.
Right.
They stole all your gold, right? And dipped it.
Land of enchantment.
Exactly. So, and they basically did that with all the different tribes. My mom is Haitian, right? Haiti means hell on a high place because of the mountains. Dominicans, she's part Dominican. Dominican, dog of God. Dominicanos, right? So
Jamaica, wood and water.
Huh?
Jamaica, wood and water.
Wood and water, yes.
Yeah, all that, right? So they're all different names that those people gave it, right? So, hey, I ain't worried about it out here. They gonna find out the truth too if they don't already. So that's basically what it is. That's how it goes out here, you know what I'm saying? So what else you got?
Hey, we can go. That's it on that. We can keep going.
Oh no, did you get the Acts?
Yeah, fine.
Let's get that.
The book of Acts, chapter 13 and verse 1.
This is the New Testament, right? Proving that. So Jesus and them, they were in captivity to the same people we're in captivity to now, the Romans, right? Americans just changed their name. They did it all throughout time, right? First there was Edomites, then there was Idumeans, then there were
Greeks.
Greeks, then Romans, now Americans, or British, European, whatever, right? Russian. They are the same people, right? The reason they're all the way in Russia is because we were over there, we had a kingdom. They moved up with the Khazars, who were the Jewish people, and they had a little empire up there, right? And eventually they moved down and took over parts of Rome. So we had what was called the Byzantine Empire in England. They had the Roman Empire, right? And we were enemies until they basically took us over. They infiltrated it. We started having babies with them, you know what I'm saying? The brothers love them a white girl. So there's no new thing under the sun. That's the same thing that was happening back then. And they ended up getting us good, right?
Look at Acts chapter 13 and verse 1. Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Niger,
See that? So same word they call us when they got out the slave ships, the same word they was calling the prophets back then. Because we're the same people. Right? So give me the Jeremiah 17, so I can show that. And Baruch 2:30.
Okay, look at Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not.
So it said we would discontinue from the heritage that he gave us, right? So heritage that he gave us was to be Israelites. You know what I'm saying? Now we're Nigerians and Puerto Ricans, right? Igbos, Haitians, Mexicans, Native Americans. So all these different things, right? So yeah, that's basically the gist of the slave ships is in the Bible, all type of different stuff. The church doesn't teach that stuff. You want the platform? Yeah. You have YouTube? Anointed House of Saints.
Why you want to do this from the beginning?
She thought we was some crazy.
We into history deep.
Push Christianity.
Nah, we don't believe in Christianity.
All in my face, and I don't like that.
You don't like it?
Like,
We believe what God says.
Christians don't believe in the Bible. They just use it.
Christianity is a religion, not a nationality.
They use it to control our people because they know spiritually we're attached to this. We're connected to this because our people actually wrote it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's a book that's got our culture. It's got feast days in it, dietary laws, all type of different stuff. We wouldn't have high cholesterol, diabetes, all that type of stuff if we were keeping the laws that he set out for us in this book. White people can drink all type of milk, right? Black people can't.
Do that. I can't.
No, I can't. They can eat pork and shrimp, crab, lobster, and they be good.
That's it.
That's just
there you go.
right here.
All praise. You still got it up? Still got it. All right. Subscribe. Hit that bell also. That way you get all of our notifications.
I
I'll be
did it.
teaching on Monday.
What'd you say your name was again?
All right.
Keith.
Peace.
Keith, like Kiara.
Keith.
Oh,
My name
Keith.
is Kiara, but I go by Keith.
Key. All right.
That's great.
All right. Sojanat
Thank you. I'm Aharon. This is
Eliel.
and Knock.
Nice meeting
Knock.
you.
Okay, that's nice.
Hey, he had one more scripture if you could.
Okay.
All right. The book of Baruch, chapter 2 and verse 30. It says, for I knew that they would not hear me because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivity.
So look, the reason why a lot of our people just keep walking by, you stay, it's only 1/3 of us are supposed to wake up. 2/3 of us are gonna keep being niggas in America, right? Or niggas in Nigeria, or niggas in Asia, wherever they at, right? 4 corners of the earth. So 1/3 of us is gonna wake up. That's only 33%, right? You could be one of that 33% because you came over here, right? Depends on whether you end up changing or not. We'll see. But it says that in the land of your captivity, right?
They shall remember themselves.
So we remember ourselves. So at first, people were walking around because we're stiff-necked, we're hard-headed. We're the most hard-headed people on the planet, right? But in the land of our captivity, the place where they held us captive, we're eventually going to remember who we are, which is the Israelites according to the Bible. Either the northern kingdom or the southern kingdom. Puerto Ricans would be the head of the northern kingdom, right? And Nigerians, most of them would be the head of the southern kingdom, Judah, right? So Judah is the same tribe that Yahweh Shai came from, who they call Christ. We would say Hamashiach.
And you know he was a black man, right? Okay.
What book are you reading? This one.
This is the King James, authorized by a brother, 47 Hebrew and Greek scholars. He didn't write it. Scholars translated it. And this is the King James Apocrypha, which is the book they took out of it. In the original King James, 1611, this was one book. That's the book right there. So this is the King James 11 with the Apocrypha, 1611. I have the original one at the crib, like in the case. But this one right here, it's got like V's in it instead of W's and stuff. So
Old English.
yeah, it's hard to read.
During the Protestant Reformation, dealing with the church, they took that book out of the Bible. And they said, nah, you don't need that. But see, this book right here shows us going into captivity with Alexander the Great. It shows us what they did to us, how they murdered us, how they forced us to serve other gods, how they tried to wipe away our identity and our history.
And it shows how we fought them after Alexander the Great's time, whooped they behind, right? Their little hasty crack up behind. And what happened was they ended up overthrowing us later on, right? But that's how we ended up with the Byzantine Empire, because we took them over. The Maccabees beat them in the war, right? Then we had Septimius Severus. Took over he took over in like 147 AD or 187 AD, one of those, right? And they didn't lose the land until about 1300. So we had Europe for that long. You know what I'm saying? So all of that's history you can look up. You heard of the Dark Ages? It's what they made the Lord of the Rings off of.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We were supposed to be the guys from the Lord of the Rings, and the orcs were supposed to be them, but they made the orcs look black, right? They actually flipped the script. So they made the orcs these demons and stuff like that who were supposed to betray us. And they made themselves the, kings of the earth and stuff like that at the time. But it wasn't the case. We just lost the throne because we didn't keep the laws of the Bible, right? If we come back to the laws of the Bible, 1/3 of us is going to get the kingdom, and Hamashiach comes back in them spaceships.
You talking about on Earth?
Yeah.
Ruling Earth. That's where the kingdom's gonna be.
The kingdom isn't when you die. We're waiting for it now, and we're getting closer to it because more and more of us are waking up, right? So, did you see recently when they were showing the spaceships and stuff? You know what spaceships are? Give me Isaiah 66, 14.
Shalom, shalom,
Hey,
brother.
shalom, Mark.
Shalom, shalom.
See, people are waking up all over the world. There you go. So, go ahead, read that. This is what the spaceships are, what they are. After this, if you want to go,
Look at Isaiah chapter 66 verse 15. For behold, the Lord will come with fire and with his chariots like a whirlwind.
So look, Hamashiach Yahushua is supposed to come with fire, or what they call it, what we would consider nuclear destruction, right? It's going to have the other nations come and turn their guns towards America, and America's going to fall. That's why they've been so scared of nuclear destruction, because the guys that run America know that that's how America's going to go down, right? The devil knows the Bible too, if you've heard that phrase before, right? Devil just means deceiver. The people that have deceived us into thinking we're colors out the crayon box, right? African Americans are ports of riches, right? They've tricked us into thinking that we're something that we're not, right? That's deceiving. So they would be the devil that the Bible speaks of, right? So white people, even white people, look at them and they stand in the sun long enough, what color do they turn? Red, right? She didn't even have to think about it. In the South, we call them rednecks, right?
How was they the ones in Egypt, in captivity in Egypt for almost 400 years?
Yeah, right? How was they in Egypt for 400 years?
They the highest one with skin cancer in the world.
In Israel, they're the highest people with skin cancer in the world.
Yeah.
Right? I went to a Jewish guy house a month ago. He has skin cancer.
Yeah.
Said he can't go back to Israel for a long time. He's gonna die. He definitely gonna die. But that's the type of things that, that our people really gotta realize and stuff like that. We're gonna wake up in this land, you know what I'm saying? But you gotta be willing to do so. Certain things that you gotta do to show it. But as far as the chariots, go ahead.
Let me read some more on this.
Yeah.
We start back at 15, Isaiah 66 and 15.
He's gonna come with a whirlwind, right? Which is fire in the chariots. Go ahead.
But behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger and fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. So a lot of people are going to die at the end of days. We read this scripture right here, verse 17. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the garden behind one tree in the midst, eating swine's flesh, and the abomination.
So look, now the reason it talks about this, right? People hiding behind the tree in the swine's flesh, it's two things. It's gonna be people that know the truth that are still gonna be, not keeping the law, stuff like that, the way they're supposed to be. The eyes of the Lord are 1,000 times brighter than the sun, right? So there's nothing he don't see. But as far as like what this scripture is talking about specifically, there's gonna be people like in the world, right, who aren't in the truth, haven't came back into the law and stuff like that. People that can't, the heathen, right? White people, Africans other than the Israelites that are in Africa, real Africans, right? Hamites, is the Bible we call them. Ishmaelites and Arabs, right? Asians. These are people that the Bible's not for, right? The kingdom isn't for them. When the kingdom comes, it's going to be slaves to us in the kingdom. That's just how it goes. Which is why we were allowed to be slaves to them in time, right? We were slaves to all the nations under the earth. We were slaves to the Persians and Medes, which are the Arabs, right? We were slaves to the Assyrians and the Babylonians. Babylonians are Cushites with the Ethiopians. and Kenyans, right? Who were slaves to the Egyptians, right? Which we know they're Africans as well. So, you know, there's black nations we were enslaved to, and of course we've been enslaved to Africans. We were the people that built the Silk Road, that were on the Silk Road for the Asians, helped build the Great Wall of China, right? That was us. So they even had black samurai, you know what I mean? Because they had us as slaves. Because we went up the ranks like we do everywhere, right? So,
Hey, the Most High gave us laws, right? And we talking about behind the tree and swan's flesh. The Most High gave us laws of what we can and can't do. I don't know if you ever heard of that before. Yeah, because you know.
I don't know, but I've heard of it.
Alright, so he gave us laws that we can and can't do. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 10 and verse 12. And these are the requirements that he has for our people, for us to be able to avoid that day of turmoil. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 10 and verse 12 says, and now Israel, what does the Lord thy God require of thee? But to fear the Lord thy God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and all thy soul, to keep the commandments of the Lord and his statutes which I command thee this day for thy good. I know when you walked up, you were saying, yo, you don't want Christianity or that religious aspect to be pushed on you. But we have to understand also that we've been lawless. Our people, every song that we got is talking about sex, talking about sleeping with somebody else's girl, or talking about murdering somebody in the rap songs. Oh, I got a chain, I got gold, I got the car, I got the material things that's worth nothing. God gave us laws for a reason so we could become better, so we could actually have a discipline, so we can get where we need to be. But we keep falling short. Why? Because we refuse this. We're not trying to push religion on anybody, but religion does mean discipline.
Religious.
You know what I'm saying?
Discipline.
And we lack discipline.
Now here's the thing though, right? The religion doesn't push discipline, right?
Yeah.
That other scripture we was reading talks about Yahushua coming back, right? One of the things that they teach and how he's coming back, he says he's coming back with a sword to rebuke with flames of fire, right? Rebuke means correct. So he's coming with correction, a sword of correction, right? And a whole bunch of flames, right? Everybody that don't get hit with the sword, they're gonna get hit by some fire.
Thermonuclear fire.
You know what I'm saying? Which one you want? Want your head to roll off your shoulders, or you want to burn to death, right? Like the dude in what's that movie? Terminator.
Oh, Terminator, yeah.
You ever seen
Melt.
Terminator? Dude was hanging onto the fence and his body melted and stuff. So it's gonna be a situation like that, right? So like, it's a thing where the reason they teach in the church. What's up? You got a question? All right.
Got a question?
I mean, if you do, just hold on a second. Just hold on.
Not really. Not really.
All right. Cool. Well, so.
He was coming over here to challenge you.
Yeah, wow. So, now, if we're in a situation where Yahushua comes back, right? He's doing what he said in this, like in that scripture. The reason they teach that he's coming back with, hugs and cotton candy and stuff like that in the church, and that you can sin and do whatever you want. Jesus died for your sins and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It's because they know 1/3 of us actually kept the law, got back to the discipline. It would be an end for this kingdom. They don't want that to happen. So they teach no discipline, right? The longer they teach no discipline and our people keep listening to no discipline, like right now, it's a Sabbath day, right? Sabbath day is the rest day, 7th day of the month. 7th day of the week, right? So on the Sabbath day, every week, every Saturday, you're supposed to chill out. We come out here and we teach, right? You ain't supposed to buy on a Sabbath day from the heathen. You ain't supposed to give them no money, none of that stuff. But our people are out here buying new little 5 points. We don't own none of these restaurants, none of these stores, right? So we're spending money, open their economy, right? On Saturday. And I would teach them to be chilling out, right? From sundown on Friday to sundown the next day. You gotta go?
I really appreciate you guys.
Hey, we appreciate you staying.
If y'all ever out here, we out here again.
I got one last
every
question
Saturday.
for you, if you can get that.
Every Saturday about 4:30.
It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. That's our duty. That's our duty, because he wants us to become great. We're supposed to be, his people are supposed to be above all people on the earth.
Right.
But we slacked. So to get back to that, we have to keep these commandments, being disciplined. You know, if somebody plays basketball to be the greatest basketball player, he got to practice all day long. He got to be disciplined on what he eat, going out to the club at night. He got to be disciplined. In every aspect of life, you got to be disciplined. If you want to have a lot of money, you can't just spend all the time. So we want to be great. Our people as a nation need to be disciplined, and we lack that. And we want to teach our people to come back to that. Hey, it's great meeting you, sis.
Nice to meet you. King? We know we're great, but we don't show we're great. That's what we need to do.
Let your light shine, sis.
Nice to meet you. All praises.
Be safe.
AHOS.